Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dakota Fundraising News Podcast. Today is Wednesday, October 23rd. This evening, we have our Dakota Cocktails Philadelphia. We are pumped to see you all there. In the past few months, we've had the most heavily attended events that we've ever had in London, Boston, LA, and New York City. So we are hoping to keep that theme alive and hope that everyone listening to this that's local gets the chance to come down to Philly. We'll get to see the tour of this studio that I'm sitting in here as we're hosting at our own event space here, otherwise known as Dakota Meets, which is very exciting stuff. But you'll notice just me today on the podcast. Conch is feeling a little under the weather. I had that last week. Hopefully I didn't give it to him when I saw him last week. He was just on a pretty awesome vacation for his birthday. We'll just jump right into it though, since it's just me and not a ton to riff off of here. Jumping off with the job changes and role changes. First, we do have Realta Wealth. They have hired Abby Eastham to lead their advisor relations. Abby was previously at Cetera. Mercer Global in Denver, large RIA aggregator. We hear their names all the time in the M&A space. They've actually made a notable change to their M&A team with David Barton retiring. He had previously led that effort. Now Martine Lellis will be taking over. She has been with the firm for 5 years. So well-deserved, well-earned, and we're excited to see what comes next for Mercer Global under new M&A leadership. And then finally, more on the investment firm side. This is the Fundraising News Podcast, so good to cover the whole spectrum. Eric Albertson has left Aberdeen Asset Management. He has joined Patria as their head of US, two firms that we know well, two great firms. So congratulations to Eric on continuing an already illustrious career. Next, I'm going to jump over to the RIA M&A segment. We're going to start in Idaho. Funny enough, Idaho is actually my favorite state I've ever visited. Hell's Canyon is not a national park, but it certainly should be, and it probably will be. So if you have the chance to visit, please check it out. Or don't, actually. That way it can stay a nice little secret. But Raymond James has recruited an advisory team from Merrill Lynch in Idaho. That team, which was led by Larry Stuckey, Brandon Peebles, and Jake Wadops, as well as Carla Greenberg and Shauna Missildine. Excuse me for the pronunciations on any of those if you all happen to listen to this. They are going to be leaving Merrill Lynch, where they managed $479 million out of Boise, Idaho, and joining Raymond James. They were previously known as the Riverview team. They will now be part of the Raymond James Boise branch. Again, can't say enough good things about Boise. Going down to Florida, Citizens Private Wealth has recruited a $600 million Fifth Third Bank team in South Florida. LS Wealth Partners is the name of the team down there. They're joining from Fifth Third Bank. Like I said, they will be joining Citizens Private Wealth. Before Fifth Third, they were part of BNY Mellon. 3-person team. So very exciting to see them continue to develop. And then a little different, but was sort of breaking news earlier this week, so definitely wanted to cover it. Hightower has announced that they will be purchasing NEPC. This purchase is happening through their Hightower holding company. They will allow NEPC to still operate under their own executive leadership team, and they'll still follow the NEPC investment research process, but they will be now a part of Hightower Holdings. So very exciting. A lot of question marks as to what that's going to mean for the consultant relations community that's been covering NEPC so diligently for so long. We will be covering all of that in Marketplace in the coming weeks and months, and indeed in years as that continues to develop. So please keep a lookout, and we're pumped to be bringing you more coverage on the Hightower NEPC relationship. I'm going to jump over to our institutional coverage now, starting with searches, my favorite segment. Where are funds flowing? Where are allocators looking for action? We'll start with the New York State Deferred Compensation Board. They have released a search last week for U.S. fixed income and multi-asset. That is a $130 million search. The deadline is December 3rd. The consultant is Callan. You can check out the field consultant. His name is Tom. You can see him in Dakota Marketplace. Responding multi-asset credit funds should offer exposure to predominantly U.S. dollar investment-grade fixed income credit securities. That includes, but is not limited to, corporate bonds, securitized products, CMBS, CLOs, and sort of the usual suspects in the fixed income space. Going up to Boston, again, thank you everyone who came out to our Boston Dakota Cocktails events a few weeks ago. It was great to see you all there at the Boston Harbor Hotel. Boston Retirement System has released a search for private infrastructure. This one's interesting. Previously, most of what Boston Retirement was doing for infrastructure was on the open-end side. This is going to actually be a $30 million commitment to a closed-end private infrastructure strategy with the deadline of November 6th. NEPC, who I just mentioned a few moments ago, is going to be the consultant for this. And as I mentioned, despite the new relationship with Hightower, NEPC will maintain the same investment research process. So would follow the same process that you followed in the past with NEPC. And then the last search we'll cover today, Bristol County Retirement System. Always good to see flows still happening in U.S. equities. They are looking for a $75 million mandate to large cap value, that is U.S. large cap value. They'll be using Siegel Marco Advisors as the consultant for that. The deadline is 11/26. Plenty of time to get that in before the holiday. Jumping to the investment segment, again, still just tracking fund flows, seeing what's happening out there. It's all very exciting for a variety of reasons, but the Virginia Retirement System, VRS, has approved $737.5 million in new commitments to alternative investment funds. Those commitments are as follows. It'll be $500 million to Apollo Libra, which is a separately managed closed-end fund, opportunistic private credit. A $37.5 million allocation to NISA Alpha, which is a hedge fund running a multi-asset absolute return strategy. And then lastly, in real assets, they've committed $200 million to AMLI Residential 3, which will be a 3-year funding period. That is a joint venture with an experienced apartment operator focused on core real estate properties in the U.S. One more allocation we wanted to note is the Municipal Retirement System of Louisiana. They've made a commitment of $25 million to Constitution Capital Partners. That's for their Ironsides Fund 7, which is a private equity fund that looks to make $400 to $2 billion in commitments and direct investments in companies with enterprise values between $100 million and $1 billion. Makita was the consultant on this allocation. And then folks are always asking us about endowments and foundations. Do we have any action happening there as far as investments? We certainly do. We'll call out the University of Kentucky Endowment. Excited to see what their basketball team has in store this year, but also excited to see what their endowment has in store right now. They have committed $66 million to private equity and infrastructure investments. I'll run through what those were. So it was $20 million to Klein Hill Partners Solutions Fund 2. That's a secondaries fund. $20 million to Digital Alpha 3, which is a private infrastructure vehicle. And then they've also allocated $15 million to Sterling Group Partners Fund 6, middle market buyout, and also $11 million to Centena Growth Partners 3, no shock here based on the name, a growth equity fund. We call this the Fundraising News Podcast, so I wanted to walk through a quick fundraising update. Fundraising is obviously an incredibly hard job. It's nearly impossible, right? You're sending emails, getting meetings, it takes so long. It's so difficult. So we want to call out successful fundraisers, and indeed every fundraise is successful in its own right, but want to call out 3 notable raises and fund launches that we're seeing recently. First, a quick fund launch that we wanted to call out, Chicago-based investor Linden Capital Partners. They have launched their latest buyout strategy, and they're going to be targeting $4.5 billion for that raise. They launched this Form D filing on September 27th. They are looking to increase the raise. Their predecessor fund for this vintage was a $3 billion fund, so looking to increase it by about 50%. So that's one that, I guess is coming soon. We're excited to see Linden's success, but calling out some success that we've seen recently. San Francisco-based investment firm L2 Point Management has closed on L2 Opportunities 1. That is their first structural equity fund, and they have raised $460 million in total commitments, including co-invest vehicles. Very exciting. That is a lot of money, especially for a first vehicle, so always good to be calling those out. If you haven't checked out our Emerging Manager Growth Show, something to think about as far as new funds that have launched and smaller firms raising earlier vintages. It'll be a good resource for some of you listeners, I'm sure. One larger firm that we wanted to call out, and then we will close out. NCAP has raised $6.4 billion for their 12th upstream oil and gas buyout fund, the 12th vintage of that fund. Very exciting to see them still being very successful. That puts their total amount raised for the year with co-invest and the $6.4 billion I just mentioned up to approximately $9 billion. So really exciting action coming out of NCAP. Congratulations to the team there, and congratulations to everyone in the fundraising space. Like we said, it's very hard. We hope to be your resource here to help with fundraising data and news, and we hope that you're finding a ton of value, but just trying to make your job a little bit easier. That will wrap it up for us today. Again, solo episode, kind of fun. Got through it. So thanks everyone for listening in, and we'll be back later this week.
This episode is brought to you by Dakota Marketplace. Are you tired of constantly jumping between multiple databases and channels to find the right investment opportunities? Introducing Dakota Marketplace, the comprehensive institutional and intermediary database built by fundraisers for fundraisers. With Dakota Marketplace, you'll have access to all channels and asset classes in one place, saving you time and streamlining your fundraising process. Say goodbye to the frustration of searching through multiple databases, websites, Form ADVs, and say hello to a seamless and efficient fundraising experience. Sign up now and see the difference Dakota Marketplace can make for you. Visit dakota.com/Dakota-Marketplace today.